A devastating explosion changed the face of Japan, destroying modern civilization and transforming it into a sea of sand and rust. A masked monk is attempting to cross a checkpoint towards the city of Imahama, and while doing so is warned about the wanted criminal Sabikui Bisco, who is rumored to even eat people. Across the desert in Imahama is a blue-haired doctor with a dark mark around his left eye named Milo, treating patients at a temporary office inside a brothel. He has his hands full treating patients afflicted with rust, and the medicine he has only works to slow the spread of it. Since he treats the poor citizens for free, they are all very fond of him, and the girls working in the brothel offer to repay him with their bodies. But he declines their advances and insists on returning home as he has a sick sister there waiting for him. On the way home, he picks up a few mushrooms, which are highly illegal since it is said that their spores spread rust. Back at his home, his sister Pawu is watching news about the so-called mushroom terrorists who keep cultivating and spreading mushrooms all over the area. Her condition is visibly bad as rust has spread over large parts of her body. Arriving home, Milo quickly starts working on synthesizing new medicine from the mushrooms he secretly purchased. With no success, Milo runs out to fetch more supplies. While doing so, he runs into the governor of the city, a shady man named Kurokawa, who is escorted by his masked goons. Kurokawa is impressed by Milo's medical expertise, so he wants him to leave this dump and come work for the government, insisting that his attempts to treat Pawu are futile. Before Milo can respond, an arrow is fired nearby and a cluster of giant mushrooms grows at the point of impact, interrupting their conversation. A large battle breaks out inside of the city between Kurokawa's masked men and the red-haired mushroom keeper, who turns out to be none other but the wanted terrorist Bisco. Milo uses this chance to gather some rare mushrooms that sprouted in the chaos and rushes back to his home. There he sees Pawu preparing to set out and join the fight against the terrorists, so he attempts to persuade her that she is not healthy enough to fight. She is happy that he cares about her so much, and seeing that he will not back down, she swiftly and gently knocks him out, allowing her to leave. Regaining his senses, Milo begins analyzing the mushrooms he collected, but suddenly gets ambushed by Bisco, who has a badly injured old man with him. Bisco wants him to treat the old man's injuries and even gives Milo a mushroom that allegedly has healing properties. Noticing the state the old man is in, Milo's good nature takes over and he immediately gets to work. Before Bisco can go buy time for him to finish the treatment, Kurokawa's men find him. Despite Bisco using Milo as a hostage, they open fire on Milo's home. Bisco saves Milo and the old man from the barrage of bullets and tells Milo to carry the old man while he fights back the masked goons. It is then revealed that he has a wide arsenal of mushrooms which he forces to grow with his arrows. A flashback to the checkpoint reveals that the old man's name is Jabby. He arrived together with Bisco, who was disguised as a monk, but his disguise got blown when he tried to cross. So the two of them, together with their gigantic crab companion, Akutagawa, have no choice but to force their way through and fight back the forces sent after them. In the city, a short pink-haired girl reports back to Kurokawa. She failed to take down Bisco as he shot down her escargot playing with his arrows, so to have her make up for the failure, he sends her to look for Bisco on her own. Despite being reluctant to follow his orders, she finds herself short on auctions and has no choice but to comply. It turns out that this girl is the one who injured Jabby during her attack on Bisco. In the sewers, Milo is operating on Jabby, taking care of the injuries he sustained in that attack. Bisco decides to head out and make sure they do not get attacked again, but Milo notices just how badly injured he is as well, so he decides to perform some first aid on him before letting him go. Pawu gets news of giant mushrooms sprouting right at the clinic where she left Milo, so in a frenzy she rushes on her motorcycle to confront Bisco. Bisco manages to capture the pink-haired girl, but he is unable to question her as Pawu arrives and immediately attacks him. While Milo is tending to Jabby, the old man regains consciousness. The two of them start chatting and Jabby reveals that he is something like a mentor to Bisco. Meanwhile, Pawu and Bisco are engaged in an intense battle. Both are impressed by each other's strength, and Bisco is shocked just how well she can fight with so much rust spread through her body. He urges for her to stop, trying to explain that mushroom keepers do not in fact spread rust, but she does not listen. The same story is told by Jabby to Milo, revealing that mushrooms actually feed on and purify the rust where they grow. Mushroom keepers go around and plant mushrooms in areas rich with rust, but since it takes a long time for mushrooms to do their job, the misconception about them spreading rust is what arose from it. Right now, Jabby and Bisco are looking for the legendary rust-eater mushroom, which is able to completely absorb any and all rust from any machine or organism in record time. The battle between Bisco and Pawu is raging on, with neither getting the upper hand. But once Bisco reveals that he has Milo helping him, Pawu loses her cool and goes all out, which allows Bisco to knock her out. While she is losing consciousness, she hears Bisco state how it was hard for him to fight her seriously. Taking her with him, Bisco regroups with JB and Milo. He's very happy to see that the treatment worked, as JB is up and running once again. Milo spots Pawu and reveals that she is his older sister, so Bisco gives him the same medicine made from mushrooms that they use to treat rust and JB. While the medicine cannot cure rust, it slows down its spread greatly. After treating Pawu with it, Milo insists that they allow him to come with them, as he will do anything it takes to cure his sister from the rust. Seeing the determination in Milo's eyes, Bisco allows him to come along. Thus, the two of them form a team and head out, while JB stays behind to allow them to escape the city. And so the duo starts their journey to find the legendary Rust Eater mushroom. They meet up with Akutagawa, who was sent ahead so he would not get caught in the skirmish before. Milo is fascinated by the giant steel crab, but as he introduces himself to him, the crab throws him off his back. It turns out that he will have to try harder if he is to win Akutagawa's trust. Despite Akutagawa's refusal to accept Milo, the doctor does not give up and continues trying to get his approval. While trying to learn how to ride the giant crab, Milo happens upon the pink-haired girl who escaped from Bisco the other day. She attempts to trick Milo and steal Akutagawa from him. But Bisco notices the commotion and saves the day. The ordeal turned out to be great for Milo's bonding with Akutagawa, who started listening to his commands. Continuing along their journey, they find an old temple and decide to sleep inside for the night. The same pink-haired girl from before is already taking shelter in that place. Just as Bisco is about to confront her about what she did before, she turns around, revealing that she is in distress. Milo reacts quickly, knowing what the problem is. He uses a maneuver to pull out the balloon worm from her stomach, saving her life. Apparently, planting larvae of these worms into stomachs of prisoners and having them drink medicine to prevent their hatching is a common method to keep them in line. It turns out Kurokawa is doing this to all his masked goons as well. At first, the girl is convinced that he saved her only so he could have his way with her. But once Milo insists that he only did it because he could not stand by and watch her die, she is left perplexed. Their rest is cut short as the entire temple suddenly springs to life. It turns out that the whole thing is a giant monster, and the girl angered it after ditching some old fuel inside of it. Since the giant monster is running straight for the mines which they plan using to reach their destination, they have no choice but to stop it. Milo commands Akutagawa to strike at the creature's weak spot, cracking its shell and allowing Bisco to finish it off just in time before it can reach and destroy the mines. But just as they are celebrating their success, the defeated beast randomly shoots from one of its cannons, destroying the mines and forcing them to find a different way. In addition to that, the girl disappears during the night, taking some of Milo's money while leaving behind a bunch of supplies. Their supplies dwindle while they are passing through a large salt desert. Spotting a kid pick up some food, Bisco quickly catches him, demanding that he gives it to them instead. But just then, other kids jump out and insist that he releases their friend. Seeing that he cannot negotiate with them, Bisco reveals that he is a wanted criminal and allows himself to get captured so they could cash in the reward on his head. After being escorted to their village, they learn that the entire village is composed only of children. At the same time, Pawu is patrolling along the highway looking for Milo. She runs over a spiky trap and has her tire blown out. Just then, she spots an elderly couple about to be devoured by a giant spider monster. After saving them, she gets invited to their place, where they promise to help her fix the tire. In the village of children, Milo and Bisco are separated. Milo is in the home of a girl called Plum. She reveals that they will all be wiped out by flying blowfish monsters if they cannot get more weapons from the governor, so they really need the reward for capturing Bisco. During their conversation, Milo notices some strange growth on her arm, and it turns out all of the kids have it. They are convinced that this is rust, so all of the adults left to work and earn enough money to treat them. But Milo immediately reveals that this is not rust, but something that can be treated easily on the spot. Meanwhile, Paul learns that the elderly couple is not as nice as they seemed. Finding out that they are responsible for the trap she ran across, as they have been capturing and experimenting on people for quite some time now. After their plan to capture, Poe manages to act thanks to her alertness and skill, and they decide to take the coward's way out and blow themselves up. The children are getting treated by Milo, and their illness is quickly disappearing. After all of the kids are healed by his hand, they offer to fulfill any request he has of them as a reward. So Milo asks of them to free Bisco, but they cannot do that, as they really need the reward money. Just as they are thinking on how to resolve that, the flying blowfish come earlier than expected. The kids fight back, but they are unable to fend off the surprise attack. Just as one of them is about to be eaten, Bisco frees himself from their prison and rushes to save the child. He asks of the kid to translate the subway map he was given, and in return, he takes down the entire flying blowfish swarm. With the new map, they are ready to get back on their way, and the kids are willing to let the two of them leave, since they solved all of their problems. Meanwhile, back in Imihama, Jabba's cover gets blown by Kurokawa, and he gets captured. Continuing on their journey, Milo, Bisco, and Akutagawa find themselves in a frozen, snowy wasteland. By chance, they stumble upon the same pink-haired girl from before, frozen underneath the snow. With Milo's intervention, she is saved from any frostbite. She still has issues with showing her gratitude and even wonders why she is still alive if they just need to show up to save her over and over again. Both Milo and Bisco do what they can to cheer her up, and soon enough she is back in her usual high spirits. They find an outpost of traders, and the pink-haired girl helps them get a really good deal as a way to thank them for everything they did for her. She decides to tag along with them until they reach the subway station they are looking for, and it is good she does as they need her help once more in there. The old trains are still operational but need some technical know-how to get up and running. She reveals that she used to be a mechanic before the corrupt government forced them to work on a specific project that got everyone infected by rust. Once she saw what was going on, she fled before getting infected, and she has been trying to get by ever since. Milo tells her about their goal of finding the cure for the rust so that they save his sister, Paul Wu Jabi. After the train is up and running, the girl decides that this is as far as she will accompany them. Suddenly, they realize that they have never introduced themselves to each other, and the girl finally reveals that her name is Tyrol. Their ride on the train is a rough one, as they run into a nest of oil squids. The fight on the moving train is rough, and they end up barely making it out alive by sacrificing the train's engine to blow up the biggest squid. Even so, they manage to reach their destination, the ravine where the rust eater is supposed to be growing. It does not take long for them to spot the pipe snake, the flying worm that has the mushroom growing on top of it. The moment it makes its appearance, Bisco jumps on the opportunity to bring it down. At the same time, Paul rides in on her motorcycle, enraged at Bisco as she thinks he kidnapped Milo. Hey, thank you for staying all the way till the end. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. It takes only a second, but it means everything to us. Have a great day and see you in the next video.